So good evening and welcome. My name is Mad Alice and I'm currently standing just at the steps of Ouse Bridge in the centre of York with the Paranormal Research York team. So here we have the lovely Kevin over here.
Hello.
And then behind the camera, if she wants to say a quick hello, is Claire. Hello. There we go. And I would like to point out that this evening is actually Tuesday the 3rd of November. We were planning to do this as a live investigation on November the 5th, the very famous day associated with Guy Fawkes. But unfortunately, a Mr. Boris Johnson has decided to lock down the entire country. So we're actually pre-filming this, and hopefully that will give us a better sense, because we'll be watching alongside with you to see if we can pick up any murky things in the background. So with that said, I think let us start. And you might have wondered why we've actually come to Ouse Bridge when we want to talk about Guy Fawkes. But the main reason we've decided to start here is because of what happened here on the 25th of March 1586. You see, back in the day, Ouse Bridge was, it wasn't this bridge that was standing, but there would have been a bridge on this site, and it would have been a jumble of shanty houses. There was actually a prison that was situated in Ouse Bridge, and in that prison was a young 30-year-old lady by the name of Margaret Clitheroe. On the 25th of March 1586, she was taken from a prison cell down these steps onto Queen's Staith. We were intending to originally go down to Queen's Staith, but I don't know about you, but I didn't bring my dinghy with me, so we're going to remain firmly in the dry. On this day, people had gathered to witness Margaret Clitheroe plead guilty or not guilty, and as she didn't say anything in the court, she was subjected to the torture known as peine fortiae jure, which essentially translates the enduring pain. She was brought down here, dressed in only a thin nightgown. Her arms were placed by her back. As she was brought down the steps, she was then asked to lie down on the ground. A small, sharp rock was placed at the base of her spine, and on her chest was laid a heavy wooden door. It was actually her own front door that was placed on her chest. One by one, the guards had to lift up great big heavy stones and place them on the door on Margaret's chest. She was slowly being crushed to death. After about 15 minutes, with a weight of almost 800 pounds on her chest, not once did Margaret cry out in pain, until she managed to muster with all her strength and cried out to the heavens, "Jesus, Jesus, have mercy on me." And with this, she breathed her last, as all that weight had crushed her ribcage, causing it to burst forth from her sides. She was killed for merely being a Catholic. Now, what's extraordinary about her execution is that the crowd that had surrounded to watch Margaret being crushed included her two nephews, John and Christopher Wright. They were around about 15 years old when they watched their auntie die before their very eyes. But it was the person that they decided to bring with them as a shoulder to lean on during this hard time who proves to be the most important character in our story. The young schoolmate they brought along with them was in fact Guy Fawkes himself. And this is possibly one of the events that decided that he would become part of the Catholic plot to blow up the Protestant king. But we are going to start a little bit of an investigation. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Kevin, who clearly knows what he's doing in this point, and see if we could connect with anything in this area on the bridge. Maybe we can actually talk to Margaret Clitheroe herself. So, what would you like to do, Kevin?
It was interesting when you were talking about the sharp stone behind the back, because suddenly my back started to work, and it's a cold night, but I think in investigations, I've done investigations for far too many years, I can't remember, but you do take on the emotions of other things, and that took me by surprise, I think. So maybe, but we have a pendulum. I like to carry my pendulum, and it's one that we've worked with for quite a long time, and it works quite well with me. So it goes along my fingers for yes, and it just can stop automatically and go in a circle for no, and it does its own thing. I don't have to move my hand. And when I asked it how many spirits were when you were talking, it said 5 on these steps. So it's an interesting sort of starting point as to what we do now. So do we try and talk to these 5 and see if we can peel away the layers of the onion and get through some history and maybe get back to something, even Margaret that happened on Ouse Bridge. The other thing that happens with spirits sometimes when they come close is they show me things through their eyes. And I see, when I looked at the bridge earlier, Ouse Bridge didn't look like it took it now. But saying that, I have seen those pictures in history, so whether that's my mind, I don't know, but I just looked at it and it's not as big as this. It's only half.
Well, there's actually been a bridge on this site since the Roman era.
Yeah.
And it was a small wooden bridge that would connected the north bank to the south bank where we're currently staying.
Yeah.
This bridge is a Victorian build. I can't remember the specific dates of it, but it has changed over the years because there was actually an incident in the 12th century when William of York, William Fitzherbert, was the Archbishop, and he had been exiled for a very, very long time by the Pope, and the exile had been lifted, and he was brought into York. He sailed down the river, and the huge crowds had gathered on the bridge to actually greet him coming back, and with the sheer mass of people that were on that bridge, the bridge actually ended up collapsing.
Oh, wow.
And it was hailed as a miracle because nobody actually died. Everybody went into the river. Nobody died because it said that William himself prayed to heaven to make sure that nothing bad would happen. And that's why he's actually become Saint William of York. So it'd be interesting if you can pick up on maybe there's something here to do with that.
Let's try it then, shall we? So we know. We think there's 5, so I shall just verify that. So it's not moving now, you can see. So if we ask how many spirits are here, if I just start counting and ask the pendulum to move, is there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's starting to move now, but it could be 6, and it gets stronger for 6. So we could start with 6. So we could then ask a question, something like, I'm trying to think. We need to try and work out how far back we go.
Yeah.
So are there any of the spirits here who were alive before the 1600s?
So a lot later then.
Is there anybody who was here in the 1700s? The other strange thing about these type of questions is the people who you're asking might not well have been aware of the dates. They weren't very literate. They just lived in the now and lived in the present. So it's a bit difficult. You've got to try and find other ways of doing it. If anybody on these steps with us, were you here when the jail was on the bridge? So we got 1, at least. Okay, that's a good start.
Did you die in the jail?
Yeah. No. I mean, that's a good idea. You ask questions as well, because you're with you having the history knowledge.
Well, I'm just thinking because the jail itself was a really grotty, horrible jail, which was actually at the water level, and the River Ouse is tidal, always has been. Every year the river floods, and every year it's a big surprise. Don't understand. But the jail itself was so squalid and horrible that once the water rose, you were trapped in that cell. that many people did actually drown in their own cells.
I guess they would have called that justice, would it?
Quite possibly. Or even if you didn't drown, you would certainly have sort of rotten feet with all the sort of trench foot with the squalid conditions.
Well, let's go for that then, and let's see. So the person who was here when the jail was here, did you pass on the bridge? So we're getting a yes. Oh no, we're getting a no from that. That was going to be a yes at first.
Okay.
Let's turn from a no. So what about if we... Did you pass of natural causes? Meaning, did you pass of old age? So no. As Alice was alluding to, were you in fact killed on the bridge? Unfortunately not.
No.
So did you die? Were you sentenced to die on the bridge? Let's come up with yes for that.
Oh.
So my question to you would be: was it just that way of dealing with people, or was there a gallows here, or other means of dying?
In terms of gallows, I don't think there was a gallows here. There was a gallows a bit further down.
So we're looking for something that's on this bridge. So were the only people who were died on this bridge, were they stoned, or were they...
The only person I can think of is Margaret Clitheroe.
Okay, right.
Not to say that I'm the be all and end all.
No.
But that's
no,
the only death that I know attributed to this bridge.
And refresh me, what do we call that death? What did they call it?
Penny 40 a jury. She was being crushed.
Penny 40 a jury.
Yeah.
So did you pass of the penny 40 jury? Unfortunately not. Well, unfortunately for us not.
Yeah. Were you hanged?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Would that be a no?
that started off as a yes for me.
It did.
I wonder if we got two. That's a possibility. Do we have two people who've died on the bridge? We do.
Okay.
So did one of the people on the bridge, did you hang? So one got hung. So how did the other one pass then?
Beheaded.
So the other person who died, who didn't hang, were you beheaded? No.
No.
Were you executed in some other way?
A bit of, yeah.
Hesitancy there. Maybe they don't.
Well, obviously there's drowning. We haven't asked that yet, have we?
No? Did you drown? Yeah. Go for that. So the person who got hung, were you a male? Yeah. And did you hang from the bridge by any chance? Did you hang from the bridge?
Yeah.
It's quite a strong yes, so it's interesting. So what do we do now? We pursue that, we go... This is where I need your history knowledge to take this, to strip this even further.
Wow.
Because none of us are aware of a hanging on the bridge.
No.
But could they have hung themselves? Could they have escaped jail and hung themselves by any chance?
Possible.
Let's try it then.
Of course, the good thing about this is that now we're not doing it live, so we can actually go back and investigate and go through the books and find out what else happened here.
Yeah. That's good. So, talking to the spirit who hanged, did you hang yourself? That's That's, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Did you hang yourself? No.
What about the person that drowned? Did you mean to drown? Did you drown yourself?
No.
Were you pushed in the river?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Were you pushed in the river as part of your punishment for a crime? Yeah. And the person who was hung, were you hung for a crime? So yeah.
Okay, so I've just recalled that further down past, we're currently on Ousebridge and we're flanked between two other bridges. So down that way is Skeldergate Bridge, which is the newer of these three bridges, and then up that way is behind us is Lendal Bridge, which is from 1860. And I think this was from the 1870s or 1880s. Further down is the Blue Bridge, right on where the River Foss meets the River Ouse. On the Blue Bridge was the ducking stall.
All right. Okay.
Or the cooking stall, as it was actually referred to as. And that was used as the punishment for nagging wives, mainly.
All right.
Not so much witches. We didn't really have too much to do with witches here in York. Though we did have Mary Bateman, the Yorkshire witch, who was hanged on the racecourse. But I wonder if that is a connection to being put in the river, or was that a bit too
from my
far
experience
away?
doing this type of thing, the spirits wouldn't travel from two bridges away or even the next bridge.
Right.
It would be here.
It would be on the
It
spot.
would be here. And one of the things that we've picked up on York when we've done previous investigations, particularly at the Red Lion in Merchant Gate, which is just sort of down that way, was that a lot of courts were held in York, and quite often, if the public didn't get what they wanted, the judges were hauled back and reached a kangaroo court until the verdict was reached that they won. So, whether it's something like that, and in which case it wouldn't even be recorded, would it? But
No.
it's, we had that at the Red Lion where there used to be a judge's quarters in the upstairs, and there was we had through the pendulum as well, but different things as different devices that if the verdict wasn't correct, then it would be made to have a retrial, but not a formal one.
Yeah.
So you were doomed anyway.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Do we look at this? Do we go further?
Well, I suppose if the investigation is about Guy Fawkes
Yes.
and Margaret Clitheroe,
Yeah, we should look at that.
we could ask them if they knew those people.
Yes, that's a good idea. So if the spirit, any of the spirits here, are you aware of the character or the man? I think that's the question. Called Guy Fawkes, or the family of Fawkes? Because the family were quite well to do, weren't they?
The family, yes.
Were you aware of the Fawkes, the family of the Fawkes? No. Were you aware of the Clitheroes, the butchers from Shambles?
Is that a yes?
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Did you see Margaret get executed?
No. Were you alive at the time when she got executed? Yeah.
Oh.
Were you present at the bridge when she got executed?
In the prison? Is that what
Well,
it said?
we don't know. Shall we go down the question? We'll go down a different route. Were you an official when Margaret Clitheroe was murdered here? That's quite a strong yes. So who would be the officials?
I don't know names.
No, mine just titles.
Well, so we're going to head over to her house in a moment on the Shambles, but she was put on trial for the crime of holding Catholic masses when it was illegal, and for also harbouring a priest.
Yeah.
Be interesting if we get him, actually. I know his name.
All right, okay.
Francis Ingleby was the name of the priest that she hid. And he actually wasn't in the house when it was raided, but he attempted to stay undercover in the city after her execution. And then I've just read today that he tried to exit the city dressed as a peasant, as a commoner, and tried to make his way over this bridge here, and was recognised and captured, and eventually he was actually taken out to the Knavesmire, which is the racecourse, and he was hanged, drawn and quartered on the racecourse. But he was actually captured right here.
So that story, does that resonate with anybody here? So talking to the spirit who recognises the name Clitheroe, were you here when she got murdered? So we have a yes for that. I'm trying to go through the questions a bit quicker, so I'm stopping it going through. I'm just giving it yes. And you said you were an official, is that correct?
Because really her execution wasn't meant to be an execution. It was meant to be a punishment.
Right.
Because she didn't plead at her trial. She said nothing because she didn't want to put her neighbours...
I thought it was execution.
No. And usually when that weight is put on your chest, eventually somebody caves and will say guilty or not guilty. And it got to the point where the guards were so shocked at how much weight was actually on her chest that they refused to put any more on, and in the end they had to pay 2 passing vagrants to continue to put the stones on, and she didn't cry out, so they got a bit suspicious about that.
So the question is, were you one of the guards?
So you put the stones on Margaret's chest?
Yeah.
Were you one of the guards? Is that yes?
Yeah.
And was she bound with yellow ribbon? So that's a no. So we can take that out of the story then.
Oh.
that they put yellow ribbon on her wrists.
Right.
There we go.
Is this something as a guard that you regretted? Yeah.
Wow.
And is it something that still worries you, still traumas you or traumatises you today? Do you still get bad feelings about this? Yeah.
So in theory, we've actually connected with a guard who helped in the pressing of Margaret Clitheroe.
So I want to ask a question, and that question will be: you said you were hanged from the bridge. Is that correct? Is that you? Yeah. Did you hang yourself because of this? Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's interesting.
I mean, it's not good.
No.
But for us...
It's interesting.
Interesting.
Would it ever be documented?
We can find out.
We can try. Yeah.
We can have a look. So was it shot? We need to find out when he hanged himself.
Yeah.
Was it the same year?
Yeah. So we're going to ask some questions now about when you hanged yourself after Margaret Clitheroe's death. Was it in the same year? Yeah, no, she died, you said, in the March.
1586. March 25th.
Did you hang yourself in March? Yeah. So that's quite soon after.
Yeah.
Did you hang yourself the same day? No. You said it was 26th of March.
25th.
25th, so that gives us 6 days, doesn't
Yeah.
it? How many days after Margaret Clitheroe's death did you hang yourself? Was it one day? So the following day.
Oh.
That's how bad that is. That's really, really bad, isn't it?
Can we get a name? Can we get an initial?
Yeah, let's try for it. I always
Could
get
we
these.
spell?
I always get these mixed up. Given name and family name. The given name is the first name. Family name is the.
Go with family name.
Family name. So can I ask you, please, what is your family name? Were you able to spell? Do you know what your family name starts with? So if I go through the alphabet, if you can tell me which letter it is. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. Would be right at the end, wouldn't it? W. I'm just going to ask a question, just for the sake of it. Were you connected to the rights?
No.
I thought that'd be too much to ask.
Yeah. Try Williams.
Were you a Williams? No. Let's try, and I'll tell you what, let's try, there's only 5, let's go for the vowels. Yeah, let's see if we can get a second
Okay.
letter. So, the second letter of your name, was it an A? An E? An I? O? U?
Was that
What?
you or O?
You. I couldn't think of it. Wilberforce.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Ah. I wonder if spelling was an issue. Would they say wood?
Ah.
Wood.
Try wood.
Is your name Wood? Wood. So something wood.
Something wood.
Is it just wood? No. Is it Woodman? No. So something wood.
This would be interesting if we can go through any records.
It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Find somebody wood.
That's
who
a thread to follow.
killed himself the next day.
Yes, because of his guilt. And it's interesting.
Oh, it's all exciting. It's all exciting. Well, that was quite a nice connection that we've made so
Yeah.
far, but shall we
Yeah.
move on to
The shambles.
Margaret's house?
Yes, let's go.
Let's go to the house. So we're going to be making our way up the shambles, which is actually where Margaret Clitheroe used to live in the 1500s with her husband John, who was a butcher, and this was the street of the butchers. Now, because Margaret was executed for her beliefs, she was actually proclaimed Saint Margaret Clitheroe in 1970. So there's a shrine just at the top of the street here. And after she was executed, her body was actually dumped in a ditch. and along with other petty criminals, left to rot. And it was one of Margaret's supporters who decided he wanted to give her a proper burial. So he went in search of her body, and when he found it, he was amazed the fact that it hadn't actually decomposed like a normal person would have, which is why it's perpetuated the myth that her body was quite saintly. So, because it had been so badly damaged by the weight of that door, he ended up taking her right hand. He severed it from her body and kept it as a relic, and that hand can still be seen at the Bar Convent Museum over on Blossom Street. And I went to see it myself today, and to say it's nearly 500 years old, it's amazing how fresh it still looks. But the rest of the body, it's supposedly meant to be buried at Hazelwood Castle, which is just on the outskirts of York. So here we have the shrine of St. Margaret Clitheroe. But we now know that this actually isn't the house that she lived at, because she used to live at number 10. Or back in her day, I think it was actually number 35. And in the 18th century, or the 19th century, the numbers on this street were actually changed. So when they got hold of this house, they thought this was the place that she lived, but she didn't. She actually lived a little bit further on. So I don't know how you feel about maybe doing something here, Kevin?
Yeah.
See if we can pick up maybe the spirit of Margaret Clitheroe.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it's said that there's meant to be a rather peaceful presence inside.
Yeah, we've been inside.
Yes.
It didn't feel like, it felt peaceful, but
Yeah.
it didn't feel as if it was a connection, so we see. But we'll go with it. I wanted to just get the millimeter out, which is, it's not like our little flashy box that we have. We have our little flashy K2 meter which lights up.
So what other equipment have you brought with you?
We brought the millimeter. Thing inside, the aerial inside.
It's a very cold night, so I already can't feel my fingers. Thank you.
And what this does, it measures electromagnetic fields digitally. There it does. So this is. Oh. I was going to say that this should read between 0 and 1.
Oh.
And it's reading 2.6.
Well, it just read 5, didn't it? Now it's
7.9.
So what does that mean?
That means it's picking up electromagnetic fields.
0.1.
And
So
it's
these
dropped back down again.
electromagnetic fields, how close could they, could it pick up the electrics above us?
No, it doesn't pick up electrics. We can try it. Let's pick up you. There it goes.
No, flesh and blood.
And then it goes, so if you take hold of that and just twist it round, just walk around with it, spin around with it.
So it's 4.8, 2.5, 2.6,
And just go around in a circle.
1.5, 1.2, 1.4, 1.5, so that's
And it drops
1.7,
down. Yeah.
2.0,
And it goes up. And you're not near any electrics, there's nothing under
and
the
now
street.
it's just gone back to 0.
And that's I wasn't expecting that either. So there you go. So
So there's definitely something.
so there's something here. So what about you with your little flashy boxes going?
So
The K2 meter's going, yeah? Have you got your phone on you?
I do.
Is it in your pocket or in your bag?
It's in my bag, it's over here.
That's too far away. So
It's not picking up.
and it's staying on 3 lights.
I don't have a phone. What are you talking about? I'm a wench. I don't know what a phone is.
We've got 6.8 on this now, which that's just dropped down to 4.4. There seems to be a curiosity about this.
Let's try it.
I mean, is it stuck?
Brand new battery just before we came out.
6.6.
6.6.
9.5. And that is stuck. This is
Brand new battery.
a new battery. So there's definitely a presence, shall we say, that shouldn't be as high as that, and that is fluctuating. And we've tried
That's fluctuating wildly.
We've tried to disprove that, and we've looked up. We're going away from all electrics. My phone is over there, so I don't have a phone on me.
Are you sure this is working? Oh,
Yep.
That's-
Oh, it's gone. Yep.
So
and it's up that way. If I point it upward. Oh,
yeah, so it's interesting. That's good.
it's here.
I'm going to give you that as well.
Why?
This one, because I want you to. I want to use the.
Why
pencils.
would you take? Okay.
Okay.
See, now it's over here.
Can I say that once we went into lockdown, just before we went into lockdown, I think the night before lockdown, which is actually the same as tonight. Oh no, it's not lockdown tomorrow night, is it? We walked up the shambles and it was empty like this. And as a medium, you sort of think there should be more about. And I walked up from here right to the top and got nothing. And then when I turned round and looked over my shoulder, it was as if the whole street had come out, and there was lots of spirits from different eras and in different types of dress, just watching what I was doing. So that's interesting. So should we just ask the question how many there are?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, this has now gone down to 0.
Yeah, that's what it should be at. It should be between 0 and 0 1. So can you see this?
That's
Gone up to
well, it's gone up to 1, but it's literally pretty much reading 0.
yeah.
Whereas when you first turned it on,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been. It should be that constant. It should be a constant thing if it's in.
but it's just changing wildly.
Yeah. But this. That's not working. So
2.7.
let's ask the question:
Yeah.
how many spirits are here? So we're going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11.
Just want to point out, we just scared a load of people. They took one look at us and were like, literally just turned and walked off. And we're like, we're not doing it.
So we've got 11.
11.
11. So
Anyone connected to Margaret?
Let's just dive straight in there. Is anybody connected here with Margaret Clitheroe? Or the Clitheroe family? Oops. My hand jacked in the cold. So is anybody connected to you with the Clitheroe family? No. Just silence. Just the deal.
Any butchers?
Yeah, got butchers. Do you want some nice meat, some pork, some lamb?
Always love a bit of sausage.
Do you want to talk to a butcher? Do you recognise Alice from my walks down here? No, you're not that famous on the other side.
How dare you?
Okay. So of these 11 spirits then, are there any from around the time that Margaret Clitheroe lived here? No.
Would they they show themselves to us because we might be able to pick you up on the recording equipment over there.
Are you making that light in Alice's hand move? Yeah. Must be a nice phantom. So have you been here a long time? I'm not really sure what questions to ask.
Yeah, when you've got too many people. Shall we head on up to... Do you want to stay here, or do you want to head up to her, what actually is her house?
Yeah, let's go to her house.
Let's go to what is her house. And we know it's her house because the priest's tidy hole is actually still in there. And she lived here with her husband, John, and 3 children. And one thing I should probably point out to say is that when she was pressed to death, she was actually with child at the time. And it was said that she would hide the priests in the priest hole here and actually had a passageway connected to next door. Now I'm not sure if it's this next door or that next door, but that's where they actually used to sort of go between. And when the house was raided, they found a little boy, a Flemish boy, because she had employed a schoolmaster to teach them a Catholic education, and the Flemish boy was the one who essentially dobbed her in it, basically, and told the authorities where to look for all the Catholic Mass equipment. The chalices and the crucifixes and the Bibles and the like, and that's when they found it, and she was hauled before the courts. So I am not, on this millimeter, it's literally gone down to 0.
Which is what it should be.
Okay.
Yep. So it should be around that.
I'm going to do a spinny round. 0.2, 0.5, 1, 1.3,
So we could.
1.2.
So we'll ask the question here: Is anybody here recognise this house as the Clitheroes? So no, unfortunately not. Do you not remember the family of Clitheroes as the butchers? Do you not remember the legend of Margaret Clitheroe? Did people talk about Margaret Clitheroe? Yes, they did. So these people are after that. So do we have the spirit of somebody who remembers the legend of Margaret Clitheroe? Yes. And what's your meter reading now? Is it
0?
0. So that's where it should be. When we do investigations, if we get no activity at all, it should be around 0. Yeah, we've had some high levels of activity down here.
Well, it seemed to be outside the shrine.
Yeah. But maybe that was just all spirits looking in to come and have a look. But we can go back down there.
Well, it looks like the light is on now. Was the light on before?
No, it wasn't.
The
It's good.
light wasn't on before. Is it on?
Is it just a reflection from the light from someone else?
I don't know. Oh no, it's not on. It must be from the other side.
If you get any readings, just
1.7.
so 1.7 is a sort of fairly good one. Yeah.
Let's try on the back.
What about in here?
0.6.
0.6.
0.9. definitely around the front.
Yeah.
It's gone back down to 0.
So whatever it was interested round the front.
See, if these ghosts would just show themselves, it would be so much easier.
It would be.
But it's kind of fun investigating there. But do remember, if you do see anything that we haven't picked up, definitely leave a comment.
Yeah, definitely. So if we focus on what we do, we don't always see what's happening.
And now it's going up, 1.5, 2.2,
Okay.
0.9.
Let's do it back here then. So my question again is, do you remember the legend of the Clitherwoods? Yes. And was she always thought of as a special lady? So there's no animosity that's about this lady here. Did anybody who's with us, did anybody know her? Did anybody know her? No, unfortunately not.
What about the Wrights family? John and Christopher Wright? No.
No.
What about the Fawkes family?
Yeah, that's good. Good question. Anybody know the Fawkes family?
Yeah.
We have a hit.
There we go. Did you know Guy Fawkes personally?
Oh, could you mention that? That's interesting. Did you know him as a child?
Yes.
So I'm guessing my question would be, did you know him as a teenager, a young man? Did you know him as a young man? Yes.
Did you know him as a Protestant?
Did they call them Protestants?
Yeah, they would have. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because when we're going to get onto it in a moment, but he was actually baptised a Protestant
Yeah.
and then converted to Catholicism
Yeah.
when he was 8.
So his father.
His
died.
father died and his mother remarried.
Yes. And she married a Catholic, didn't she?
And then she married a Catholic. And then
She's got in there.
what? Oh yeah. No, there's a flat. There's a flat.
Oh,
above.
right, okay.
Okay.
That was a real person that went through that door.
I thought I could hear an alarm.
Right. Okay.
There was jangle. I heard jangle.
Yeah, his key had his keys on.
Yeah, no, I think there's a.
Should we give him a knock?
Can we go in? No, more than 2 households out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then when he was 21, that's when he moved to Spain and changed his name to Guido.
So what we need to find out then is this spirit that's hanging around now.
Yes.
When did he know him as a child? Did he know him as a teenager? What was his character?
I'm going off, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's 2.2, and then this has just gone up as well. Do we think this is?
I think that's acting up. It's too static. It's not. It should be going up and down, not being static like that.
Well, it kind of is.
Yeah, it does. But
3.0, 2.8.
yeah, I've never seen it go. I've never seen that before. I've used them for years. Never
Yeah.
seen them do that.
So yeah, did you know him as a Catholic? Guy Fawkes.
Did you know Guy Fawkes was a Catholic? Yeah.
Yes.
So that was after 8-year-old.
8 years old. Did you know him before he became a Catholic?
Yeah. So I think the obvious question for me would be, did the death of his friend's auntie influence his faith?
No.
No.
So he'd already made up his mind before then. Here's a question. Was he born inside the city walls?
Definitely yes.
Let me try that again. Was Guy Fawkes born at Bishopthorpe? No.
No.
Sir, people of Bishopthorpe keep saying that he's born in Bishopthorpe. Proof.
Was he born in
Lies.
Stonegate? He was born in Stonegate, and quite an emphatic one as well. That. So, should we ask the question? No, but wait until we get round there, shall we?
Well, no, if we've got somebody who knows it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you bring... Are you still with Guy Fawkes now? No. Can you not go get him?
Do you think that Guy Fawkes would have liked the fact that he's still celebrated?
Yeah, he wanted him for me.
Yeah, there you go. He's a bit of an egotist by the sound of it.
Yeah.
So, did he put himself out as a Catholic when he was younger? And did you know him from school? When he was a schoolboy?
No, not from school.
Was it after school? Oh, that's
Because he moved to Harrogate. He moved
Did he?
to
Because he sold his
Scotland?
Scotland, sort of near.
Knaresborough.
Yeah, around that way, Northallerton way.
Yeah. He lived there as a teenager.
Right. Because he had properties around here as well, didn't he? So he
Yeah.
sold those.
So his father, Guy Fawkes' father, was a lawyer to the Archbishop, which is why they had a house right next door to the Archbishop, which is where it's contested that he was actually born out there. But he was baptised at St Michael-Le-Belfry, where we're about to go.
Yeah.
And typically, because we don't actually have a date of birth for him, typically babies were baptised within 3 days of being born. And he was baptised on the 16th of April, 1570. This has gone back down to 0 now. 5.3, as I've said that.
Well, there you go.
Fancy.
So did you know Guy Fawkes as a young man? Yeah.
Did you support Guy Fawkes?
Good question. No answer. Oh, hang on a second.
No. Is that a no?
It's not. It's taken its time, but yeah, it's a no. It's almost like a hesitant no.
Yeah.
Maybe it feels like he's betraying.
And this person we're talking to, did you live on the Shambles?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Shall we get a family name?
Yeah,
let's
try for it. Yeah. Is this your house that we're outside of? And is it this house we're outside of? Is this your house? Okay, so I don't know if that's traceable or not, we'll find out. So can we have a family name, please? Does your family name begin with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N. It's actually touching my fingertip.
Is it Nicholson?
Is your family name Nicholson? No. So let's say we can go with the vowel as well because there's only 5. So is the surname your family name the next letter after N, is it A, E, I, I. Is it C after that? K.
Nickel?
Nichols?
Nichols?
Nichols. Oh, it might be like quite close to that. What made you say Nicholson?
I don't know, it's just a name that popped into my head. No idea why.
Alright, okay, so Nichols.
Yeah.
So he wasn't happy with Nicholson, but happy with Nichols.
Nichols. I don't know anyone by Nichols.
Right, well, maybe that's something we could look up.
Yes, we have a name.
Yeah.
So, shall we go to where it all started?
Yes, let's go.
So we're going to make our way over.
Bishop Thorpe.
Bit too far. I was thinking the pub. Guy Fawkes in. See you there. So in our final stop for the hunt for Guy Fawkes, we are actually at the very church where he was baptised on the 16th of April in the year 1570. And there's actually a plaque over here to commemorate his baptism. Now, he was actually baptised into the Protestant faith, and he didn't convert to the Catholic Church until he was at least 8 years old, because his father died and his mother remarried, and she remarried a Catholic. When he was 21, he went to go live in Spain, and that's where he adopted the name of Guido, as he's sometimes referred to. But most importantly, it was during his time with the Spanish army that he learned the art of explosives. And that knowledge was to come in so handy, or not, you could argue, in later life. We all know what happened on that fateful evening of November the 4th, 1605, when Guy Fawkes was captured red-handed underneath the Houses of Parliament, surrounded by 36 barrels of gunpowder and with some lighting touchwood in his pocket. He was embroiled in the Gunpowder Plot, the plot designed to blow up the Houses of Parliament on its state opening of November the 5th, and it would kill the King, King James I, who was due to be in attendance. When he was captured, he actually gave his name as John Johnson, and he was taken to the Tower of London to be put to the question. Basically, they tortured him to within an inch of his life, and although it can't be confirmed, they do suspect that one of the torture implements they used on him was in fact the rack, which is where both your arms and your legs would be stretched. And on the first day, he answered very little of their questions. All he did was confirm his name was Guy Fawkes. And after he'd been tortured all day, he was actually put in a prison cell which was called the Little Ease, because it was not high enough to actually stand up in and not wide enough to lie down in. Second day, he confessed his name again was Guy Fawkes. And it was only after he realised that all his other co-conspirators had already been captured or were killed did he eventually give up the names of the conspirators and tell them about the plot to kill the king. And it said that it was on the third day that he eventually was broken down. Now, we all know what the fate was to be for Mr. Fawkes. He was to be hanged, drawn and quartered. And he was taken to outside the Palace of Westminster on January 31st of 1606. And that's where he was actually pulled to a place of execution. This was his sentence. To be taken to a place of execution, to be hanged by the neck, to be cut down while still alive, to then have his privy parts cut off and burned before his face. His innards will be taken out and burned also. Eventually he was to be quartered and eventually beheaded. Well, before they could actually go through with this, as soon as they put the noose about his neck, he climbed up the scaffold ladder and actually flung himself to his death. So by the time they did all the gruesome deeds to him, he'd already actually died. Now, he was the very last one to be executed, and it's just as well that we've actually come to possibly the closest location we can find to where he was actually born. And if I just spin you around over here, you can see the Guy Fawkes Inn. So he was named after the pub. Now, obviously, the pub wouldn't have been standing back in the day, but we do know that the house would have stood basically on the site of where the cottages are at the very, very back of the building. So it would have been just off Petergate and towards Stonegate, somewhere in the very, very back of this building. So I think if we go around the front and we can see if Kevin can pick up on anything, maybe he might be close by, or would you prefer to stay here?
I will go.
Go around the front, a bit quieter. We'll go over to the other side, into this corridor.
In the shadow of the minster as
In
well.
the shadow of the minster. Now, despite the fact that this was actually going off earlier on quite a bit, you can see it is actually on 0 at the minute. She's still got the headphones on. And also, I'd like to point out that Claire does have the spirit box going, which is essentially a radio frequency that's scanning all the different frequencies, and she's got the headphones on, so if any spirits want to come forward and talk, Claire can hear them, and she'll shout out words. So if she suddenly shouts out some random phrases, she's not going to bit loony. So is there anyone who wants to come forward at all?
I don't know if you can see that. It's not, the light isn't very good. Should we stand?
We'll do it over this
under
way.
the light?
Over here.
That's a bit better. You have to come closer to see it. You have to come closer to see it.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Claire's got headphones on. So we're just going to ask a simple question. Does anybody here remember Guy Fawkes? So straight away we have a positive yes, which is quite strong. That's good. And do you know the Fawkes family from here? So we have a yes for that as well. So I'm going to ask the simple question, the obvious one I guess. Are you the Fawkes family?
That looks like a no.
That
to
looks
me.
like a no. That's a shame.
It is a
That
shame.
is a shame. Well, I was hoping for a big finale.
I know.
But never mind.
Such an anticlimax. But we're getting there. We've got somebody who's connected to the Fawkes family. Were you alive when Guy Fawkes was alive?
Yes.
Did you know him personally?
Yeah.
Did you go to school with him?
No. Did you know him before he went to school? No.
Did you know him from the church?
Yeah. So we'll switch the question around then. Would Guy Fawkes know you?
No.
No. So the Fawkes family were quite well known. Was that correct? So were you a neighbour? No. Were you part of this church, Michael-Le-Belfry Church? No.
Can you speak to us? If you talk to this lady here, she can hear you.
Yes, it's true. So if Claire will shout out any words that she gets from the scanning.
So can we have a name?
It's just said Debussy. Doesn't sound English. Debussy.
Debussy?
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 Oh,
Nothing
we've got
really
the,
coming through other than that.
Composer, Debussy.
I don't think so. Really? So, is your name Debussy? No. Not really sure what that is. So, not sure at all about that. So what we're going to do is does this person who knows Guy Fawkes or knows of him, was he a very nice person? So yeah, the answer is sort of yes. And was he in his 20s when you knew him?
Have you stopped listening?
He was quite strong. So he was in his sort of. So did you know him in his later years? No. So we're going to. Can you not see this?
Turn sideways on. There we go.
That's better.
Ah, you can see it now. Okay. So, did you know him when he was in his 20s or in his late teenagers years? Yes. So I guess the question we would like to know is, was he quite forthright in his views on Catholicism? Yes.
Is the spirit of Guy Fawkes here with us? Or in York?
No.
What a shame.
Does the spirit of Guy Fawkes ever come back to York?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we get him now?
Can we call him out? Can we
It's actually gone up a bit.
can we ask him to come forward?
Yes.
I don't know if it's because my hands are shaking, but it is
It is
cold as
incredibly
well.
cold.
I don't want to make him any false readings.
Can you bring
So-
Guy Fawkes to us?
So can we ask if Guy Fawkes is here?
Is that yes?
It's a yes, but do you know when you're scared?
It's a Kevin yes.
Are your hands cold?
My hands are cold and I'm worried that I'm influencing it. So I'm trying not to, honestly. So if you're Guy Fawkes here, what would you like to ask Guy Fawkes?
I don't know, I'd like to hear him.
Yeah. You can talk. Will you?
The only
Is it-
word that came through was that,
Debooty.
like a French-sounding word, the whole time.
396.
Well, he's probably having
yeah.
a chin wag to you now. You're not listening.
395 years ago to the day,
Right.
we were probably stocking gunpowder in the
415. Is it not?
oh, my maths
1605.
isn't good.
Yeah, 1605. So yeah, I'm a
400.
history rather
Yeah,
than
yeah,
math.
yeah,
So
yeah.
415
light.
years.
Yeah.
That's it.
What about on the other side? Come round with us. There we go. Come round this way. She can't hear a word I'm saying. She'll be able to pick up. Is that better? There we go. No, you're late.
Don't let me get run over.
No, you won't get rid of it.
Can't
You'll
hear
be
a
fine.
thing.
So can Guy Fawkes come forward now?
So we're asking Guy Fawkes to come forward.
I want to say it's about 10 o'clock, so it's kicking out pub time. Getting a little busy now.
So yes,
Implied.
he's coming forward. What do you want?
What did you say?
Implied.
Implied what?
Right. Guy Fawkes.
No, he said implied.
Right.
Public. Publicly.
It is bubbly.
It's very noisy. So what would you like to ask Guy Fawkes now you see him? You see, it's been your big moment.
I know,
We're
sorry.
building up to
I
this.
wasn't expecting anything to happen, to be honest. I'd like to hear him. So, is he proud of what he did?
Let's ask the question. If you were alive today, would you do the same thing again?
Yeah.
That's quite a strong yes. So
Yeah.
his views, I'm sure, are his
Yeah.
views still the same.
To be honest, I think people would like you to come back today.
I think
Try
it's a-
again.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Are you surprised that you were still
Work.
famous today? Yes, it is.
How do you feel about the fact that everybody remembers your name and not the conspiracy?
That has to be a yes or no.
Well, I'm wondering if she can get voices.
Oh yes, that's true. Are you happy that you are the most famous member of the group?
Right.
Right. The Wrights were the most famous, so he's saying
Yeah.
no. Are the Wrights the most famous of the group?
So with the conspiracy, just to give a bit of context, the main mastermind behind it
Right
was
here.
Robert Catesby. Right here.
With him.
Right.
Whoa!
That's cool.
That is very good. So Thomas Catesby was the mastermind behind it, and there were several main conspirators. Thomas Percy, the Wrights brothers, Christopher and John, who attended the school in York, who went to school with Guy Fawkes, that's how he got brought in. There was also Ambrose Rookwood, there was Sir Francis Tresham, and also Everard Digby as well. And a couple of other names, but the thing was, more people kept getting drawn into the conspiracy over the years. The only one we remember is Guy Fawkes, and he was brought in at the very last minute for being a gunpowder expert, and he was actually on the continent at the time in Spain, and it was the Wright brothers who decided to actually bring him over. I think we're going to head round the corner just over here, just for a little bit of quiet time. But yeah, he was brought in at the very last minute, so it actually wasn't his idea at all. Originally, the plot was to dig a tunnel under Parliament, but unfortunately they came across some troublesome there when they couldn't actually get through the stone, and it was all waterlogged down by the river. Then, of course, Parliament opening was actually put back a bit, so Guy Fawkes actually loaded up 20 barrels of gunpowder in July and stocked up another 16 a few weeks later, and he was checking on it to make sure that it wasn't waterlogged because it was quite damp, and he was discovered underneath Parliament on the 4th by the Lord Chamberlain, and it was raided because an anonymous letter had been sent to a Catholic who was attending Parliament that day, warning him not to attend. That letter was then shown to the King, and the King demanded that actually the vaults be searched. So yeah, it's fairly interesting how Guy Fawkes is kind of pulled into this, and his links to York as well, the links to the Wright brothers. They all went to the School of St. Peter's, which wasn't situated on Bootham where it is today, but it was a bit sort of further. It's now under a coach park of all things. He did. I know he did. I'm telling you he did. But
He's telling you he did.
Yeah, exactly. He did. So, do we have the Wright brothers with us?
Well, let's find. We know the names of the Wright brothers.
Yes.
So, if we can ask which Wright brother wants to speak, can you give us your initial, please? So, is it A, B, C?
Christopher.
So we have Christopher, otherwise known as Kit, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kit Wright, do you get upset? Do you get upset that Guy Fawkes takes all of the fame?
Yeah.
Yes. So it sort of backs up your theory, really, that's with your story, that he comes in at the last minute and gets all the glory.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that James I and Parliament decreed that because the plot failed, it should be celebrated every year since. And because it was a Catholic plot that failed, they decided that as well as having the celebrations, they would have a bonfire, and it was mandatory to actually to burn a effigy of the Pope, who it was all kind of against, really. And then gradually, when James II came to the throne,
Lie.
No, it's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. James II came to the throne, who was a Catholic and one of the last Catholic kings of this country. The effigy
Here.
wasn't James
Lie
I,
here,
isn't it?
maybe.
Oh, okay, maybe. but the effigy of the Pope was changed to just a general Guy, and that's when it sort of transferred over.
Yep.
And it was, like I say, mandatory to celebrate Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night. It was law until 1859. There we go, we had to celebrate Bonfire Night. And we did used to, this is just kind of spiked up a little bit, and we did used to until recently.
Yeah.
But there we have it. So I think we've actually made contact with Guy Fawkes.
And the Wright brothers.
And the Wright brothers. And somebody who actually executed Margaret Clitheroe. That's fascinating.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So that's much more than I thought we'd ever get tonight, if I'm honest.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
It's something extraordinary. But hopefully, if you have enjoyed this, then you can show your support to us by liking our pages. Mine is the Bloody Tour of York. You can also join the
Paranormal Research York.
also known as PRY.
Ghost hunting events.
Ghost hunting events page or the group.
You join that. And also I'll leave the link to the tip jar where you can support us so we can do more of these events, because who knows, I think there's a lot more to reveal in York. But for now I'm going to say thank you very much, and I think I need that gin because I'm a bit cold now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.